Hello everyone, this is Professor Kent. Today's recording is review for chapter 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 6. And this review is for test number 1. That's what we're going to be doing. And I had some issues in one of the classes, so what I decided to do is I decided to re-record the whole module, the whole test number 1, and record a video for that one. So that being said, so let's get started. Our first thing is going to be creating 2 folders. So I am going to create a folder, one for first folder, and then we're going to create a new folder, and that will be these are the 2 folders we're going to create, and I'm going to rename them. The rename will be your the review reports, review reports, and then we're going to do the second one, rename it review. These are the files that we're going to have. Now the first thing you're going to do is I have to open it side by side. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. So hopefully it lets me do what I want to do. The first thing they're saying is to go to MSQL Server. So we're going to go to MSQL Server 2019, and then I am going to click on the first one, and I have to create system and data, but I wanted the XXX should be replaced with the 3 letters of your last name. So my last name is Kent, so I am going to use Kent. I have to do a side by side. I'm trying to think how is it possible to put both windows side by side so it makes it easy for me. Oh, there. So when you are here, you're going to say browse for more, and once you do that, highlight it, then you're going to click on the third one. The third one is the file that the third one, which is your app, class apps 2020, class app 20 and app 29. I select it. Before you go anywhere, you control C, drop down window, SQL, SA is for my username or a login, SQL server is my password. I will say connect. I think I was trying to do it before too, and I hope all the files are there. So what you're going to do is after you do that, you should have 2 more files. Your last name, 3 letters of your last name, and 3 letters of your last name with the data files. How am I going to do it? On the database, right click new. This you have to remember for the test purpose. My last name is KEN, and it will be system, and I will say okay. I right click, new database, KENDAT, and I will say okay. So we have done the number 1. So we done it in MSQL Server. Now we're ready to do it in Sage 300. So I will close this, and then on the bottom you're going to go into, sorry, I need to move a little bit more to the side. Just to see my it's not coming up. Let's see if I can do a little bit more. I'm just going to do it from So I have it on the start window. For this purpose, I'll just minimize, I'll do expand it. Sage 300, I'm gonna do a setup. My password here is my admin. We say okay. I will delete, yes, delete, yes. I'm gonna set up a new. First one is KENSYS, that's my first one. And I'm gonna put a Control V, sorry, I did Control C, so I have to go back. Sometimes when it happens, I just pressed Control C instead of pressing Control V, but that's all right. It just gives you, we have to go back and it's just waste a couple minutes of our time, but sometimes it's easy, sometimes it takes a while to get it to work. I'm just going to copy this, Control C, and take it here, and we're going to say Control V. It works. It is login is my SA SQL server, and my database is whatever is at the top. So in this case, it is Ken Sys. That's what the first one is. We say okay. I'm ready to do the new one, KENDAT. We say okay. My server name is Control V SA SQL server, and it is going to be KENDAT. And I'm going to say okay. So we close this, we close this. I'm going to close everything. And what I needed to do is I need to open up my Word. Now they said to start. Now what we needed to do is it says start Sage 300 and select what we just created. And once we created it, we are going to use the company, we're going to use the date 01/01/2023 as the session date and the same as the fiscal year. In order for me to do that, I'm going to press my start button and I'm going to go to Sage 300, and from there I'm also going to use Sage 300. Once I do that, I'm going to click on so my password is admin. The date I want to use is 01/01/2023. That's the date I want to use. We say okay. Since this is the first year of our starting a business, I'll say proceed, and once you do that, it will come up back with it's going to start a date. Make sure this is right. So our fiscal year start date is 23. So I will say okay. And then once you are in here, let's see now if I can minimize my screen so that I'm able to, there. I minimize the screen a little bit more so that I'm able to see both. So I'm hoping I can hope just to move a little bit to the side. In this case, we know the legal name of the business will be your name. Your Name Consulting. And then this is the address they told us, 236, and it is Main Street. And then city is Toronto. We are in Ontario. The zip is M4V1W5, and the country we know it's in Canada. Now the question is the ADA. Now what happens is that they said to the format the phone number when they're asking you to format. That means click on this and then enter the phone number 416-604-111, and then tab it over 416-604-112. That's the one more one. And then once they say that, they said the functional currency is Canadian. If that's the currency, I go under my option, I go find, and I find CAD, and I will say okay. And once you do that, it automatically is going to take you there. So now the next part of the question was to create the optional field. Under the optional field, they want you to create optional field called software. And in order to show you where it is sitting under your under the common services. If you click on the left side under the common services, you're going to click on optional field, and they want you to do is software. It's automatically a capital letter, which is okay. So first one is my software. Your values will be, if I were to do that, first one is your Sage. It is your Sage 300, and then my description is also Sage 300. Then the next one is Microsoft Word, and that is also Microsoft Word. And then next one is Microsoft Excel, and then we also have Microsoft Then what we have is Sage 50. That's the next one is we have Sage 50, and then also Sage 50 here. So that's how we do that. Even though it says Sage 50 accounting, you wanted to add an accounting, you could do that too. I'm just showing you how to enter your optional field. So we are done adding it. So now I'm going to go to, now the next one is taking you to chapter 2. Under chapter 2, what they want you to do is to the first thing you have to do is to activate the general ledger module using the background information that is given. So in order for me to do that, I will close this. How do I activate it? You click on the administrative services on the left side. I'm trying to see, maybe I could do the other way around. So I will go here. Sorry, I am trying to see what I could do so that I could I could also do this at the same time. I am trying to kind of navigate it to see my desktop, my laptop is so small, so it makes it a little bit harder for me to come on. So anyway, it is there. I'm not going to waste any more time doing that. So I think it's the best thing to do is just to move my this one. Alright. So then the next thing is they're saying to modify the GL. First we are going to activate it. You're going to go to administrative services from the left side. You're going to go to data activation, and from there what we are asking you to do is to activate GL module. When you do that, click on that, click on proceed. This is the GL module that you have to activate. We say next, we say next, we say activate, and then we say close. So when you do that, so once we do that, if you expand your ledger, it is already activated, so your GL module is activated. The first thing is asking you to do is to go into GL setups, go under the option, and they're asking you to do some things. So in this case, if I ask you to create your do something, we're doing it in accounts. This is the default closing account, which we will do it after we create chart of accounts. This is where your Word document is. It's telling you that we want to maintain the history for 7 years. If you want to maintain the history for 7 years, how are we going to do that? You're going to click on this 7 here, 7 here, and you're going to leave everything default the way it is. When you are a segment, the question is asking you to do a couple things here with this segment, and they ask you to, let me just see, I'll just do it this way. When they're asking you to do this one, so you have this I have, if you were in the classroom, I have given you the files. They are already in your D2L. So what they're saying is you have to create an account and a department. That's what you needed to do. So I will be going into my options. My first one is my account, ACCOUNT. Account is always going to be 4. Your department, we wanted it to be 3. The department, it is 3. They told us in the Word document, and that is 3. This is not told, but you needed to remember this is 1, and then you have to select the dash. Then you do that, we say save it, and once we done it, we close it. So that's the first thing we do. And the next thing, number 3 is asking you to do is default closing. We will do it later on. So we're going to do number 3. We are going to go to department segment code, and we're going to enter 100 and 200. We're going to go to segment code. I double click on the segment code. First one is my 100, and that is consulting. And I go to the second one, 200, that is my textbook. And we are going to save it, and I will close it. So we're done number 3. Now we're going to go to number 4. Number 4 is to define them, the structure, the account structure. So you double click on account structures. I needed to create my ACCT, the code, and that stands for account. And I'm going to select 1, and I add it. And then next one is my department, DEPT, and that stands for department. And then for that, I include these 2. So these you have to remember to include both of them. So I will add it. So then you close. We have done. Now the next question is, we have to create these source codes: cash receipt, disbursement, bank charges, sales journal, setup, and purchase. So when you do that, my first letter for my cash is C. My second letter for the receipt is R. So when I create it, when you're creating your source code, so I double click on it. When you click on it, GLCR, and we are going to do cash receipts. And then I'm gonna add, because I needed to see it side by side. Click on new, GL cash disbursement, CD, and this stands for cash disbursement. So I will do a new, my GLBC, BC stand for bank charges, and I will do new again, and GLSA, and that is my sales journal. I will add, and then SGLSE for setup, or you could do SU. They both are okay. Setup. I will add. Next one is my purchases. Purchases is PU. So purchases stands for purchases. As long you could remember what they are. Think of your special journals. So we have those special journals. So these are special journals. I will add them. The next one is they're asking you to create the source journal profile. I am going to go to source journal profile. I'm going to create, and it says the title should be banker reconciliation, and then we want the cash receipt. Find your CR for cash receipts. I select it, tab it over, find your cash disbursement. I select it, tab it over. I find my bank charges, select it, and tab it over, and I'm going to add it. Now, next one is to print the report. So in order for you to, I'm going to save it, close it. The reports are done here. So I'm not going to show you how to print it. All you have to do is before you print, you put your printer into preview. I'm just going to show you one, and then I'm going to show you the rest of the things. So if the question asks you to do reports, you on the left side, you're going to click on GL reports, and you're going to go into my different ones that I'm asking. So if you're asking you for GL reports, you will click on GL options. So this is what you're going to click, and the system is going to generate the reports. Once it's generated, you're going to press at the left side there is that button where to export it. You're going to export and save it. So when you're saving it, sorry, I have to make it a little bit more, and then I'll bring it. So because I can't show you till it's on the left side of it. Oh, there it is. It wasn't working before. So on the left side, I have it. Say okay. We say okay. Then you wanted to know where you wanted to save it. In this case, I wanted to save it in my desktop under the reports, and this will be your first report, and you can call it report number 1. EPORT, report number 1. And what is that? GL option. So you could do GL, and that is my option. So this is how you're going to be saving it. So you could come back and save all of them. So you could also do the segment one, everything that all the reports that I asked you to do. So you could do either one. So okay, there it is. Now I got it to work. So now now I finish my lesson 2. I'm going to go to lesson 3. Lesson 3 is asking you to create the accounts, and these accounts you need to know if they're sitting under the debit balance, credit balance, or where do they sit. I'm going to go to GL accounts. I will double click on the accounts. My first account is 1010, which is called bank checking. And we know that it goes under ACCT. It has a debit balance, and it is in a balance sheet, and it is sitting under my cash and cash equivalent. I remember these ones, but you could also go to the finder and do that. I'm going to add it. We're going to create the new one. You should be able to do this faster. 1030, and it is my bank credit card. And that is my ACCT. It is my debit balance. It's balance sheet account. It goes under cash. You could do a finder and then look for cash. I just remember it. This is my first one. Second one. Next one is your 1100. That is your accounts receivable. That is a debit balance. It's a balance sheet account, and it will go under O2 because that is my accounts receivable. I added. My next one is, yes, I wanted to add it. My next one is 1120, which is going to be your supplies account. ACCT, debit balance, balance sheet, and it is my other current assets, so that number is my 4. I add it. I save it. I will go to next one, 1130. If I'm in the business of selling textbook will be my inventory, You can also call this as a current asset too. So textbooks, and that is my ACCT. It has a debit balance, a balance sheet account, and it is my O3 is for my inventory. Again, it can easily be O4. Then I'm going to add it. My next one is your computer, which is your 1200. I am going to pass it to the name is computer, and it is your fixed assets because you're going to take a depreciation on it. ACCT, debit balance, balance sheet, and it is my fix is 05, your fixed assets. So I add it. I'm going to save it. My next one is 1220, and that is my copier, which is also your fixed assets. So sorry, it should we're going to go to copier, and it is a fax, it is a scanner, and that is ACCT. It is a debit balance, balance sheet account, and it is 05, and I will add. I'm going to go to my next one. My next one is your office furniture, and I am maybe make it easy for me. Control V, and the first number is 1240, and that it is ACCT, and it is a debit balance, balance sheet account 05. So try to make your life easier as possible. Try to remember some of them, but you don't need to remember them. So 1260, and it is my vehicle, and I know it is ACCT. It is a debit balance, balance sheet account, and it is 05. We add it. My next one is save it, new, and I have a new. I save it, and I add a new. My next one is my building. My building is Control C. The number for my building is 1280, and then it will be ACCT, and it is a debit balance, and it is a balance sheet account, and the group that we have is, in this case, is a fixed. It'll be 05, and I will add it. Now we are ready to do our next one is your accounts payable. I am going to save it, or you can add it at the bottom. It is my accounts payable, and accounts payable is 1300. ACCT, it is a debit balance, it is a balance sheet, and the account group is going to be it is an accounts payable. I believe it's 8, but I wanted to double check if it's not 8. It is accounts payable is an 8. You could also put this under current, but then we want it to be accounts payable because we wanted to connect this to our payable module. So our next one is we have a credit card payable. That is your other liabilities, controls credit card, and that is 1320, and that has an account. I don't know if credit balance, balance sheet, and that will also go, that goes on number 10. I think it was a current liability, and I will add it. I'm going to go back and check if I did the right balance. So if you look at it, I just realized my balance in my accounts payable should have been credit balance, not a debit balance, because sometimes you do something and then you realize you made a mistake, so you can go back and fix it. My next one is my GST HST payable. If it's a payable, it will have a credit balance. If it's a recoverable, it will have a debit balance. So sales, if it's a HST on sales, it is payable. If it's HST on purchases, it's a recoverable. The amount, the number is 340, and it is ACCT, credit balance, balance sheet, and it is other current liability. I will say it is 10. I will save it. I will add, and my next one is GST recoverable. We are going to control, and we are going to see that the account number is 1360, and we know it's an ACCT credit balance sheet. The number is 10, and I will add it. Now, my bank loan, we could have a so the next one, I don't know which one I did before, because I was in a phone call came. I wasn't able to do that, sorry. So we did GST recoverable. Now we're going to go to our bank loan. My next one is my bank loan. It is 1400. I'm going to do bank loan. So the bank loan could be short term or a long term, but if I don't tell you, then you could put it as a long term. If it's a short term, you will be told that it's a short term. So long term is 11. So that's the liabilities. So I'm going to add my next one, mortgage payable, and the account is 1420. So we are going to go to mortgage payable, ACCT credit balance sheet, and that is 11. So I'm going to add, we're going to create another one. In this case is your name, whatever your name is. So 1500 is your name. I mean, whatever your name is. In this case, my name is Karen Kent, and it is my capital account, and it is ACCT, and credit balance is a balance sheet. It goes under my shareholders equity side, and I believe that is 14, and I'm going to add it. We close. My next one is my retained earning, 1520, and it is my retained earnings. This is the one you have to pay attention to, because you wanted to put this under the retained earnings section, but the classification of this is 14 because it's under the shareholders equity. So I will add it, and then we are going to go to next one. Now next one, if any account that is my income statement account, I do not need to put a dash, it automatically will add a dash. So we are going to do revenue from consulting, and then ACCT, it is a credit balance income statement, and my revenues are 15, or sales. I add it. Oh, so the other thing I made a mistake here is, see, if when I do it, when you go too fast, it says does not match the structure. That means if any account that you put it on the income statement, they will be department, except the main accounts, the ones you're doing an allocation, so except the main account. So I add it. I will save. I add. I will go again to the next one, 1600, 200, and that is my revenue from textbooks. ACCT, and it is credit balance, and it is for my textbooks. In this case, my it's an income statement. It is my department. We know that, and it's a revenue. Your revenue code was 15. So I will add it. Now we have to add the next one, which is my telephone expense. My telephone expense, I will add 1760. I know it seems like a lot, but you are getting marks for each one. So we have telephone expense, and we have department, and it's a debit balance. It's an income statement account, and if it's a telephone expense, it will be 21, unless you're told other expenses are the only one, or the depreciation goes under there, but the rest will be other expenses, fixed expenses. So I'm going to do 1760, 200, and it is also telephone for my second department. And the structure code here is debit department, and it is a debit balance. It's an income statement, and it is 21, and I don't know how to spell telephone at this point. Telephone expense. I added to do that. I'm going to go to the next one. Next one is my other expenses. Number is 1810 100. Other expenses for my first department. It'll be DEPT. It is a debit balance. It's an income statement account. 21. And I added one more to go. We're almost there. 1810 200. It is for other expenses for my second department. Expense, it is department. It is a debit balance. Income statement fix is 21. So I'm going to add it. So I close it. Now we're going to check if my chart of accounts are correct. When you do that, I am going to double click on the chart of accounts. When you do that, you put it on the long form to see it, and I'm going to print to see if I entered all of the chart of accounts. So most of them are there. There's 24 of them, and I have to create one more they're asking me to do. So there's one more that I'm going to do. And now if you see it, if you go to the right, there's nothing under the allocation. So now we're going to start with the next one. Again, if you're asked to create this report, you can save this report. I'm not going to save any reports. Now it says what happens is this is the question will tell you that there is an allocation. This allocation is for my telephone account, and the split is 60-40, and they are asking you to add appropriate allocation code. Either it's given like this or it's given within a journal entry, and I will give you a hint. When I give you a hint, we will tell you to create 3 accounts that relates to telephone expense. So I don't know the name of the number for the telephone expense. We know that if you look at it here, I know my telephone expense is 1760. I already have this account, and I already have this account. Now I have to create another account. That account, we call it a main account. So number will be 1760. 1760 is my main account, and I'm going to call it a telephone expense since it is my main account. So if it's a main account, EXPENS expense, you're going to make this account as an account. And what you're going to do is the balance is a debit, and that still is a fix. So I'm going to add it here. Now once you add it, if there's an allocation given to you, or you are required to do it in your journal entry, you're going to click on this button. This is an allocation button. This becomes live. You click on the allocation. You look for allocation. RT is for allocation. So GLRT is for allocation. We have a consulting. I'm going to look for telephone expense for consulting, which is your 100. 100 is consulting, 200 is my other department, and then I tab it. My reference will be reallocation. My description will be reallocation, and this number is 60. And then I go to the next one. I go to my next account, which is my 200. I select it, and then I will do reallocation. It is reallocation, and that is my 40. Again, it has to be equal to 100%. So this is so this is how we do an allocation, create allocation account. So what we have done, we are save the changes. Yes, I'm going to save the changes. If I go back to the report, I just wanted to quickly show you, it's asking you to print that report. You can print that report too, but I am not going to print it. I showed you how to print a report, so I'm going to do long form. We're going to say print, and then remember I showed you that there was no allocation before. Now you should see an allocation, and this is here. That when underneath the allocation, you're going to have a balance. That's what allocation does. It does that. So I'm going to close it here. Now I'm going to go to chapter 4, and chapter 4 is they want you to to add the following closing balances for December 31st. So what we are doing is we're setting up the GL. When are we doing it? For in this case, the date is important, December 31st. Where am I going to go? I'm going to go to my transactions. When you do that, you're going to click on the batch list, and I'm going to click new. When you do the new, I know it was going to do that because I'm opening up too many things here. You will get this error message too, because I have to make it bigger just to see it, to fix my mistake. Yes, that fixed it. If you get that error message, you know what to do. So system, the screen resolution needs to be fixed. So I am going to be going set up my December 31st 2022 balances. Your date could be anything, or you can just say set up opening balances. It is also okay to say opening balances. Now it's my first entry, and I could just say the same thing here, set up the opening balances. Now for the opening balances, I needed to do it for the last year. When you do that, click on the calendar, go backwards and 31st, and then you tab it over, and then my entry will be to setup. Setup is my SU or SE. So setup is SUSE, and I wanted to make my life easier. Let's see if my screen will let me see the Word files now. You're going to go in here. What you're going to do is you're going to be adding all the balances that we asked you to do here. So let's do it one more time, and I hope I don't get that error message. If too many windows are open, you will get that error message. So I just wanted to see, so let's do the first one. So first one is my bank checking. It's my line 1. My line 1 will be, you could call the reference will be set up and set up, and my description will be opening balance. And then when you do your first account, you need to know if it's a debit balance or a credit balance. So if you look at it on the other side, it's a debit balance for asset account, normal balance in the asset account. Sorry, the first one is 1010 and the balance is 12,000. So I tab it, I go to the next line. If it doesn't go, you know you needed to enter the insert button. So 1030, the balance is 1500, tab it over, go to my next one, and my next one is 1100, and I tab it over. The balance in here is my 3000 account. We tab it over. We have 1120, and then we have it 450. I tab it over, go to the next one, 1130. The balance here will be 150, tab it over. I go to next one, you have 1200, that's your computer. The balance in the computer is 5500. I tab it over. Then my next one is your copier, 1220. The balance in there is my 2200. Next one, 1240. The balance in the office furniture, they told us, is 3800. I'm gonna add 3800. Then I go to tab it over. My next one is your 1260, which is vehicle, and the vehicle balance is 15,000. I tab it over. Then I have done all the asset. Now we have a building left. My building, the balance is 110,000. The number is 1280, and then it is 110, 111. That's the balance. Again, it is given to you at the right side. So I will post this to some of you guys who missed the class. For you guys, for those, I will also be posting the this document that I created. So 110,000. I need to go here. Now my next one is my accounts payable. Accounts payable normal balance in there is a credit balance. I don't need to tell you in the question. That's the balance. 1,300. We have 1,320. That is my 525. I debit. And then I will have my next one is my HST credit card is 2,800. So I have to go here. I have 2,800. I tab it over. Oh, this is, I knew it was gonna happen. I go to the comments, and when you're there, you're gonna do print screen to get there. Next one is my 1,340 GST payable. That is my credit account. If it's a GST recoverable, that's a debit account. 525, tab it over. My next one is 1,360. 1,360. I think sometimes when I do quick, these things happen. 1,360. I tab it over, and it's a debit balance 245. Make sure your trial balance it before you post it. So you make it balance if it's not balancing. 14,000 is my bank loan. Loan payable is a credit of 18,000. I tab it over. My next one is 1,420. And that is your they told us on the right side the balance. So I am trying to so that it shows you both side by side. So you could go back and forth. So these are the numbers that I am getting. 18,000. My next one is my 70. Oh, it went back. 75,000. And then I tab it over. This is my last one, and my last one is my 1,500, which is your name capital, and the account balance is 56220. And I tab it over to see if everything balanced. Yes, everything balanced the way it is. Now I'm gonna add it. I wanted to, the question is saying now the next one is check for the mistakes. I already know that there's no mistakes, but you could we have to check for the mistakes anyway because my balance is not out of balance. So this is my journal entry. I'm going to extend it because now I'm going to do what we're going to do is we are going to post this. In order to post it, you have to print it first before you could do that, and you have to display the balance sheet and a trial balance. So I'm going to say ready to post. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to post this transaction. We close it. And we close that. How do I know that there's no arrow batches? You go back in there, you see at the bottom if there's no arrow batch, you have to fix that arrow batch. Do not delete it. Do not delete it. I'm saying it again. If you have an arrow batch, you fix the arrow batch. All you have, it'll come here, double click and fix your arrow batch. Once you've done that, now we have to look for the reports. I'm going to show you how to do a balance sheet report. Trial balance is in here. This is where the trial balance is going to be. If you double click it, and then you needed to give me the trial balance for last year, you're going to go to December 31st 2022, and you're going to print it. So make dates are important, so you make sure you pay attention to the dates. Now we are also going to show you one more thing, the balance sheet, how you do reports. So I'm going to go click on the print financial statement. I'm looking for a balance sheet. Now system has to create it for you. We did some transaction, system has to create it. We're going to show you how it works. So when you're in here, you're going to browse. So under here, we have a balance sheet, IN for income statement, financial ratio, and we have a quick balance sheet. I don't want a quick balance sheet. I want a first one. You'll say open. When you do this, what year you want it. If I want it for last year, I will do December, and I want it for the 31st. Excel is different from the PDF. Here you have to select preview, so you could save it if I asked you to do that. Now you're going to let the system do that. Once you let the system do its thing, you'll see it. Sometimes it has macros. It's going to do what it needed to do. Just wait till it finished doing what it needed to do. And this is if you look at it, this is what we did today. So this is what my balance sheet is. So I'm going to close it. I'm going to close it because I showed you where the balance sheet is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to read our next one and see what the question is asking us to do. So they are saying number 6, perform the necessary, it is important to read it. It's a necessary steps to move to the fiscal year. In order for me to do a fiscal year, first I needed to go to my options, and remember I said that we're going to come back after we create our chart of accounts. Now we finished creating the chart of accounts, and what we're going to do is we are going to link our retained earning. It's under accounts. You're going to go to the finder. If you don't find it here, that means you did not did your retained earning correct. I'm going to select it. I'm going to save it. This is where the problem was, and I will close it. This was where the problem came yesterday in one of my classes. So I have done what it did. Now I'm ready to create a new year. Make sure all the windows are closed at the bottom, except the only one should be open is your Sage 300. I click on my periodic and I say create a new year. When you create this in new year, we cannot go back. So in other words, we cannot go back once we go forward. Double click. It tells you should back up before you do this. I'm not going to go back up. I say create a new year, and I will close. So now I'm ready to do my New Year's transactions. So my Word document is telling me, to change, to advance the date. I know I've changed so many things here. So the date is telling you to change the advance your date. The document that I will be posting, it has a date, so this is where it is. So it's saying that I needed to change the session date. It went further, so I'm going to change the session date to 31st, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to see my session date at the right side is 01. In order for me to change it, I will close it. I will open it one more time, and it will be my admin, and the session date is my 31st 01 2023. Year, day, month, and a year. I will say okay, and we're done. We're going to show you how to do chapter 6 now. First one is to create transaction, and in this case the question is asking you to create different batches. So the question is asking you to do different batches. I couldn't change this. In this case, my first one is I'm going to create a sales journal batch. This should be your batch number 2 because we already created one batch. So I'm going to double click on it. It might give me an error batch, the error message, because I'm doing a C. It does that. So when it does that, you have to extend fully your and you're going to say new, then it works. My batch number 2, and it is my sales journals that I am going to be creating. And that is for the month of journals, ALS, for the month of January 31st 2023. And now I need to see my transaction. Let's see if I could do that. It said we sold it to J. Michael and the invoice number is 5213. When did we do that? We did it on the 5th. So this will be your J. Michael. And then what is the date? The date is January 5th. I tab it over. What type of journal is it? It is a sales journal. If you're selling something, it's a sales journal. So it will be my sales journal. I go to my first line and my reference will be J. Michael, and invoice number was 5213. 5213. I'm going to take you there too. If it's a credit on credit sale, debit will be my accounts receivable. I'm going to debit my accounts receivable. I don't know the amount, so I am going to do it again, do it this, and then see if I'm able to see it. So they said this is my sale and this is my HSC, so I will add the number afterwards. So let's do that. I know that I needed to add the number. I will add it after, but I know that my sales account is 2300. So it is for my consulting sales. I'm going to look for my consulting. In this case, I can be asked to split it, but they did not ask me to split it this time. I will go to sales account is normal credit balance. So I will do 2300. That's a credit. My next one is your HST. I'm going to look at it. HST, that is HST payable, or we call it HST on sales. I'm going to go to my HST payable account and I'm going to go here, and then if you don't know the amount, I'm going to click on the plus button, shift plus button, and I'm going to say 2300 multiply by 0.13 equal to gives me 299, and I'm going to paste it, and now I'm ready to put it in the debit balance. So my debit balance will be 2599. If I look at the bottom, that's where the balance is. So you could do it if you add your sales, you add your HST payable, the both will be my debit to my my accounts receivable, and it's a J. Michael. I'm going to add it. My next one is also for consulting, and invoice number is 5214, and I also sold it to the same person. I think it is M. Carmichael. So I'm just going to put M, and it is Carmichael. I thought it was a J. Michael again. ICHAEL, and then we have to do it. We needed to know the date. The date is 6. So again, use the calendar, please. So it is SA for the sales, and the reference is the name of the person. It is M. Carmichael. And the number here is going to be invoice number 5214. We know it's on credit sales. My debit will be my accounts receivable. I know it's 1100, but I don't know the amount. I'm going to add the amount later on, but my sales is, in this case, it is consulting. I double click. I look for my revenue. Consulting, I select. I tab it over. The amount they told us is a 750. We tab it over. If they don't give you the amount, if they say plus HST, you need to calculate the HST, and HST is payable on the payable on all the sales. So this one is if I do that, shift press, and it is 750 multiply by the, here's my multiplication, multiply by the point, you could do times 13, multiply by 0.13 equal to 9750, and I will paste it. And my debit will be, if I add both numbers, that's the balance, 847.50. Make sure your out of balance is 0. Now I added the transaction. So this is my my transaction for my sales journal. Now I'm ready to do my purchase journal. So these are my purchases, and if you look at it, they said the allocation. When we do that, even though we told you we did some allocation before, even we told you what you have to do is this one. You have to do a purchase. You have to allocate to the right accounts when you're asked to do that. So I did 2 transactions. I'm gonna add them and I'm gonna close them. So this is my second one. My third one will be, I think my things are going haywire, but that's okay. My next one is my purchases, and I'm going to do a telephone bell, and that is my batch number 3. So that is my batch number 3. So I know everything is going everywhere because I'm expanding and I'm not, and this is going to my new. So I got an error error message again. When that happened, I'm going to expand it. So I'm going to say new. This is my batch number 3. It will be purchases. Purchase for the month of January. And then first purchase is from Bell Canada. Again, this will be posted in your site. So Canada, and that is, those who are watching me through, not from my course, but you are watching me through my YouTube video, and it's a Bell Canada. The date is 11th, and if they don't give you an invoice number, they said to put it in invoice number January 11th 2023. These are the amounts, and again I'm going to charge it to the main account. So this is your PU, and I am going to go to my line 1. Line 1, my reference is my invoice number, and invoice number, I don't have invoice number, but I have it January 11th. That's the number, and it is my Bell Canada. So you have a telephone expense. I'm charging it to the main account because I needed to do an allocation batch to get the full marks for the test. So when I say that, your main account is your first account without any department in it. So select that, and the amount here was 178.23. I will do all the way. My next one is, now this is GST recoverable, or we could say GST on purchases. So it's a recoverable. It has a debit balance 23.17. I tab it over. This is an on credit purchase. My credit will be my accounts payable. So whatever the amount is going to be, accounts payable. I know the amount at the bottom is 201.40. So we're done with my purchases. So I am going to tab it somewhere else so the system recognize that I balance. So this should be 0. I'm going to add it. Make sure you're balancing as you go on the right side. I close it. Now I'm going to open up a new batch. That is batch number 4. And I'm asked to do a cash or receipt journals. So I will say, because we're receiving cash, it will be cash or receipt journal. If you're paying cash, it will be cash disbursements. Cash receipts journal. Receipts for the month of January. (2023). I needed to know what the date is. Again, I need my Word document. They're saying we're receiving cash from J. Michael. We're receiving it on January 7th, and that is your batch number 4. Again, batch number 4. We're receiving it from J. Michael, and the invoice check number is 2251. We're receiving 2,900. So last entry will be my J. Michael. We are doing it on January 7th. because that's what the Word document said, and we tab it over. It is cash receipt because we're receiving cash, and the invoice number they're paying us. In this case, you have a check number. Reference is the person, J. Michael. And the reference number is your check number, and that check number is 22511. That is given to us, and then we are going to receive cash, which is your cash account. Sorry, 10 cash account, debit the cash. Bank checking 1010. And then we are going to, what amount did we receive from them? The question said that we received 2,900, and then you go to the credit, and the credit is your accounts receivable, and that is your 1,100, and that will be a 2,900. So how did I get these numbers? These numbers are given to you in your Word document or at the back of the chapter. So if you go to the back of your chapter under the challenge exercise, you have those ones. So now we have is, next one is print and post these batches and make sure everything is done. So let's do that before we get to our number 4. So let's do that. I am going to add it, and I'm going to close it. When you do that, I have to make it ready. Yes, yes, and I'm going to post all. And then I'm going to close it. I go in again. Why do I need to do it? To see if there's any error batches. They will arrive here. So there is no error batches, so we're good to go. So this is something you needed to check all the time. Now we are going to go to do my create a recurring charges. But before we do that, the question is asking you to create a schedule, and this schedule was shown to you in your I highlighted it here, and I'm going to talk about it. Monthly schedule, because I did not create it for a challenge exercise or for the review. First thing you're going to do is create the monthly schedule before you can even create a recurring transaction. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go into my common services, go under schedule. I'm going to create it. If you look at it, when you go the finder, there's nothing there. So I was asked to create a monthly schedule. This is monthly, monthly, and then we are going to leave it. There's no users, or we could do it all users. So in this case, it's a monthly, and it is on the, when are we doing it? On the 5th, they told us. And then frequencies every month, and then that on the 25th of that day. So you could do no users, or you could do all users. So depending, come on, all users, and the scheduled date should be the 25th. How do I know that? They told us in the 25th. They didn't tell us how many days in advance, but you might be asked to do a number of days in advance. So I will add it. Now we are ready to create, to set up our recurring charges, and the question said that create a recurring charges for 120 plus the HST for the cleaning services. So they said to charge 50% to textbooks and 50% to the consulting services. So let's do that. Where do I set up? I'm going to go to my GL setup. Under there I have a recurring charges. So you double click on it, and I am going to create it. In this case, the code will be, it is for cleaning. So if it was created before, it will show here, but nothing is there. So I'm going to say cleaning. Code is cleaning. My description is for my cleaning services. Cleaning services. Services. This is my cleaning services. Schedule code is monthly. If this didn't show up, that means you needed to create it. And then there's no expiry date. The date they told us, it was 25th. And what I do is I tab it. Description. You could also do a cleaning services. You can also say the name of the company, cleaning services, that is providing you with that. So when you do that, when you have a cleaning services, you could, it's a journal entry, so it could be an on credit or could be it could be an on credit. It did not tell us if it's a cash or cash, but they said it is on account. If it's on account, it is my accounts payable. What are we doing? We're doing the purchases. I will select that. My first one will be my reference. You go down to the reference, sorry, it will be my cleaning, and then description will also be cleaning, and then we are going to be charging a to department. And in this case, my first one, they set 50% to the both. If they are saying to both, I will collect my first one, and that is the debit amount. If they told us 125 was my cleaning, I divided by 2. So in this case, I need my backspace. I am going to use my calendar, my calculator. I'm going to do 125 divided by my 2 equal to my 6250. I will add it. I will go to the next line. I didn't enter the quick button, that's why it did not show, so I have to go back to the calendar, and then I will go to my next one, 1810 200, and that's my other 6250. And now they said to do an HST, and in this case it's a HST on purchases. I will look at it. HST on purchases is my recoverable account, or you're gonna have HST on purchases, and that is a debit balance. What is going to be the amount? I don't know. I am going to take my 125. I'm going to multiply that by 13%. 13 and percent, we can do equal to, and then I'm going to do a paste. That's my debit, and I am going to have a credit. I will have a double click, and that will be my accounts payable. I will select it, and I will tab it over, and the amount will be 141.25. So that's how the question is. If I were to go side, now I wanted to show you, this is the question is asking. In this case, in this one, I given you a hint to create a schedule. You could take a picture of it if you're watching me online and you're not part of my class and you don't have access to it. Number 5 is to create a recurring charges run. Now I'm going to create a recurring charges run. First I create the thing, and now I'm going to create the run. So I am going to add this first, and we're going to close it. And how do we create the run? I will have to go into my periodic processing. I will do a create thing. So in this case, the run date will be the 25th, they were told, and I just do a tab. You could look for which one you're looking. In this case, I could do select the cleaning, but if there's only one, it's automatically going to process it. I'm going to process it, and I say close, and I say close. When I go that under my transaction, I should have a new transaction, and it will be called recurring transactions. So if I double click it, it should be same thing should come in every single. If I double click to see it or to open it, so it should be the same entry. The amount could change every year. So I'm going to close it, and I am going to make it ready, yes, and I'm going to post it. Now we have one more to do, and one more batch is my allocation batch. Again, you close it, you go back to the batch list. Always do that to see there's no error batches. So if you do one at a time, it's easy to fix. So I'm going to close it. Now I'm going to show you the Word document, what the Word document is asking us to do. Again, you could sometimes. So this is my next one is I done that. now we're doing number 8. So before I go there, I'm just going to go I'm going to go to the, so see, this is change, right? So don't worry. So these are some of the things that big changes, but because when I expand them, so this should not be there. I'm going to control X, and that should be part of here. So it should be, before you enter these transactions, you should have a date. That's the date. So I'm just going to go at the top just so you could take a picture of it. This was my chapter number 1. This is the first one. Then this was my chapter number 2. The exercise start from there, and this is my next, and this is my lesson number 3. This is where I created my chart of accounts and did my allocation. This is chapter 4. I did my closing balances, and then we created, see this add, see this, it does do weird. So these are my transactions. They're back up the chapters. You could do those transactions. I am going to do number 8, and then we're done with this. Review. So number 8 is to run an allocation batch. In order to do that, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to GL periodic processing, and I'm going to create a allocation batch. The first one is my allocation batch. When you do that, and what we are doing it, you needed to say which month are you doing it for. We are doing an allocation for January month, January, January month, and it is 2023. So now we just have to when are we doing it? It's the end of theirs. They'll tell you when are we doing it. In this case, they told us we are going to be doing that on the 25th too. So everything is done on 25th. So I will put the date to 25th, and I will process it, and everything is generated. I needed to know if it's there. I will go back to my GL transaction, double click on your general January transaction. It is allocation, it is generated. I'll say ready to post, and I will post, and I will close it. I wanted to double click to see if the balance, there's no error batches. So there is no error batches. So we are done with that. Now the last thing you could be asked to do is to print the posting journal. So when you asked to print the posting journals, you double click on GL reports, double click on the posting journals. If you already printed it before, you have to click on this button. So otherwise you're not going to see it. I'm going to print. I didn't print it, but I'm still going to click that button. So these are my batches. So 1, 2, 4. I have a batch. This one I did. I'm going to go to the next one, my checking. I'm going to go to the next one. This was my cleaning services, and this one was my allocation batch. It is all there. So there are four pages of it. I close it, and I close it. I might ask you to do reports again for the trial balance. In this case, we will be asked to do it at January 31st. You have to double click on the trial balance. When you're in there, you are going to go to, now in this case, if it's for this month, you will be doing 2301, and I'm going to do print, and your trial balance should be different from what you previously printed in our chapter 4. So this was the review. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please don't forget to like my videos or post a comment. It helps to see if there's any questions. Thank you again for listening to me. Take care, and bye for now.